All right, hello once again. This is Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College, and as part of the Rankin Technical College AWD 1000 Web Development Technologies course, I'm doing a series of video presentations based on the Mozilla Developer Network Learn Web Development series. I'm in the JavaScript portion, and we're still in the JavaScript first steps. And now it's time to talk about strings. In the previous video, we talked about numbers. And now it's strings. Remember, strings must be either within double quotes or single quotes. All right. So strings are dealt with primarily to numbers at first glance, but when you dig deeper, you'll see some notable differences. Fine. So there's an example of creating a string. Again, that could be in double quotes or single quotes. But if it starts with a single quote, it must end with a single quote. If it starts with a double quote, it must end with a double quote. If you miss one of the quotes, you'll get an error. We've already talked the single quotes versus double quotes. All right. It says there's very little difference between the two in which you use as a matter of personal preference. But again, you should start to develop your own style now. So it says you should choose one and stick to it. All right. So there's where you start it with a single and you end it with a double, and that's why you get the error. All right, and they give you some more examples here. So I would suggest using double quotes whenever possible, because typically in most programming languages, you show the use of strings in double quotes. All right, escaping a character in a string. Well, what if I wanted to literally say I've? I've got no idea. So I'm going to grab this example that they've got right here. And first of all, let's talk about the easiest way to fix something like this, because they don't show the easy way. So you've got this, and let's put it in there twice. What if I didn't want to have to go through all this stuff in here? I didn't want to have to put in this backslash key. Could I get around it? And the answer is sure. I could just make this a double quote, have that be there as a single quote, and make this one a double quote. That's one way to fix it. The other way is like this. By using this backslash key, and that's the backslash that's right up above your enter key on the keyboard. All right. What that does is it's an escape character, and it says, now the character that follows this, all right, the character that follows this, basically in this case, I want this to be just an apostrophe or whatever you'd call that. So this would work, and so would this. Which is better? I like the second way. All right. Concatenating strings. All right. String concatenation is basically, it looks like addition, but what it does is it basically takes one string, and on the end of it, it adds the other string. You can do that as many times as you'd like. And yeah, we've looked at examples of this before. All right. So what happens when you try to add a number in a string? It says you might expect this to return an error, but it works just fine. Trying to represent a string as a number doesn't make sense, but a number as a string does. That should say front 242. Okay. You can even do this with two numbers. It says you can force a number to become a string by wrapping it in quote marks. It says try the following here. And it'll show that the type of this is a string. I don't know why you would do a lot of this stuff that they show here. To me, it's just very, very confusing. The template literals I've already mentioned to you, and again, that's fairly new. So they've got here, let's song equal fight the youth. You can turn it into a template literal like this. Well, that's totally fine, but that's how you'd use it. Make sure when you use it, you use the backticks. All right, again, I went through an example of this earlier. Now, before we finish up, which we are going to right now, two things. First of all, this is one place when you start to learn about strings, because strings you use a lot in here. So I'm going to put in here, W3 schools, JavaScript, string functions. And what you'll notice are methods is that it'll start showing a bunch of the ones that you can use. String length, string within a string, etc. All right, and there's a lot more, but string methods right here. Okay, and the other thing I'm going to put in here is, again, I'm going to search. I'm going to say Mozilla Developer Network JavaScript string methods. And this is also, here's useful string methods. So you can start perusing your way through here. Now, I want to show you one more, and I'm not sure if I can find it or not, but I'm going to go look for it right now. All right. And this is going to look very strange for just a minute, but if you bear with me, if I can find it, it'll make more sense in just a second. So, and it doesn't look right now like I can find it. All right. Okay, I used to go out to this site, and I can't remember the name of it right now, that had really good JavaScript tutorials. All right, and then the site went away. One of my students at the time, Brady Williams, found where the site was still there, but it wasn't technically online anymore. It had been archived. So let's see if can I say archived here. No. I will do what I can to find that site because it had some of the better JavaScript tutorials that I'd ever seen. Let's see if I go into here. I don't want to waste time, especially while I'm taping, doing this. Come in here and say, no. All right, I'll have to look for it. And it was, oh, what the heck was it? There, I know, I remember. Maybe I can search for that. It was called Hunlock. Hunlock. Oh, and in fact, I've got this. Well, I'm definitely gonna download this and save it. And you will all get this. All right, so here is the Mozilla Developer Network number tutorial, string tutorial, date tutorial, control structure. I didn't even realize I had this, but this is the Hunlock one. Now, again, it's been archived. So this may or may not even still come up. I'm going to check right now. All right, this is a very ugly site, but it's a fantastic site. If you look in here, it has a JavaScript tutorial, a number tutorial, a string tutorial, an array tutorial, a JavaScript function tutorial, and when we get going a little bit more, not just the dates, but the JSON and AJAX tutorials. If I go to the strings, all right, it's spinning. There it is. So what it has here are examples. There's the string reference. So that's most of the stuff that's in here. See that? Some of the methods, the ones you'd use most often, and examples. So again, I will make sure, and I'm going to just throw this up there right now. Well, there it is. let me cut down the size of this a little bit. Cut the font down to 28. No, try it more. 24. Okay. 16. How about 20? There it is. So there it is. I'll leave that up there literally for about 30 seconds here. All right, it's from hunlock.com, but it's been web archived. So you might get an error message when it comes up, or a warning message saying that it's a threat. It shouldn't be. But I will take this entire thing that I have right here, and I will send it out to you before the beginning of the semester. That is pretty much it. Close that. That is pretty much it then for right here. So these are some of the things you can do with strings. Changing case, you can run the to upper and the to lower. Updating parts of a string. This would take every occurrence of Moz and replace it with Van. All right, and again, there is a learning exercise in here that I'll let you take a look at if you're so inclined. All right. Says you can't escape the fact that basically you're going to use strings all over the place, particularly in websites. So this article got you going with the basics. So next, we will jump in. So we've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we'll go into the useful string methods. In fact, where are we here? We're at 11 minutes, so let's combine these two. There's strings as objects. Says many things are objects in strings. When you create a string by doing this, you're literally creating an object. To find the length of a string, it's .length. It's a property and not a method. The reason I'm telling you that is in many programming languages, the .length will have paren after it because length is a method. Here it's a property, so you don't use the parentheses. Retrieving a specific character in a string. So if I say hello, the H is character 0, the E is character 1, the first L is character 2, the second L is character 3, and the O is character 4. You do a lot of work with strings using substrings. A substring is a string within a string. All right? And you quite often use the index of. If you're looking for a string within a string and you don't find it, it returns -1. If you do find it, it returns where it exists or its location. You can use the slice method, which right here, if I did the slice method, so let's say I had the word welcome. This would give me WEL, which says start at the beginning, so location 0, and go three over, so the WEL from welcome. All right. This says slice beginning at character 2. So if we had Mozilla in there, MOZILLA, it would start at 0, 1, 2, the MOZ, which would be character 2, and it would give you the rest of it. So if you don't put an end on there, it means go to the end. To upper and to lower, typically they just make sense. This right here would give you this all in lowercase. This would give you all of it in uppercase. The replace we've already looked at. And again, there's the active thing. So maybe, I don't know, I guess we did jump into both of these. So we've now handled text and string methods. So what's next then will be arrays. Now I'll come back and talk about arrays in just a couple minutes.